Hi everybody, welcome to this video. So this is day 3 of my trip to Kingley Vale and Stoughton in the South Downs. So in the morning I'm shooting in the woods around near the car park in the mist, and I'm trying to find a nice misty shot. And then after breakfast I head off to Kingley Vale, which is only about a 20-minute drive just down the road. And there we've got some beautiful yew trees and some glorious abstracts that we make up. So grab yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and enjoy the video. Well, good morning everybody. What a beautiful morning it is. It's quite misty, which is lovely. So I've had a good night's kip, nice cup of tea, and just about to grab my camera and head out and see what I can get. I'm hoping that the mist is going to hang in the woods a bit. It doesn't look like it's as thick inside the woods as it is in the lowlands and on the fields, but that might change as the sun changes, as the sun comes out. So yeah, let's see what it's like. So what I've done actually is I've walked up to the top of this ridge and I've walked back down to where the mist was. I'm just framing up my first image. It's quite it's not the best, but it's just want to get something in the bank. I'm shooting f8, focused on this big tree here, and then just with the mist and the trees in the background. I quite like the way how this tree is branching out and spreading into the trunks and the trees behind it, sort of rooting itself in the ground and then just spreading into the fog behind it. It's still quite dark, so actually we're on quite a long exposure. So we're on a 13 second at the moment. A minute ago it was 20 seconds, so the light is changing quickly. So let me talk about this image briefly. I don't like this image. I'm not happy with it at all. I don't think it works. As we look at the image we've got, I don't think the composition works that well. We've got this big thick yew tree on the right, which is quite imposing, but it lacks a bit of detail and it lacks kind of any real interest. I do like how it leans out to the left of these 3 trees. I do quite like those 3 trees and that little pattern, but other than that I don't think there's a lot going for it. The other big issue with this image is the fog in the background has caught so much light, it's like backlighting everything. So unless it swaps to a silhouette style image, which would then completely lose the concept of the fog, I don't see what else it could do. So this has had a slight edit with it, but I've got to be honest, I don't like this image at all. I think it's rubbish. And sometimes what frustrates me when I watch other people or hear from other people or see or look at things for inspiration, I look at amazing images that people shoot, but they never quite show the stuff that doesn't work. And you know what, sometimes when you're out and about you take something and you think you like it, but in reality you don't, and it doesn't work. And for me this is one of those images. So after I shot this image and kind of wandered around and did a few more in the woods, which to be fair none of them were any good, I headed to the top of the bank that was there and out to the edge of the wood, and there was some farmers' fields. You were hemmed in by a fence, but looking out into these farmers' fields, and that's where you'll find me now. literally rolling through the hills. It's changing as we look at it, and I'm liking the way that this view zoomed in a little bit with these trees. We're getting these diagonal lines. So we have this diagonal of the mist in the bottom right hand corner. We've got the diagonal of a line of trees going against the ground in front of us. We've got a lovely colour in the sky, a nice pinky yellowy going into that blue is stunning. So we're just lining up a few different images here. The video shot is quite wide, so you're seeing a bit more of the vista to what I'm doing on screen. On the right hand side you'll see this fence running down into the mist. That's a really nice kind of abstract, simplistic image of just that fence running off into the mist with the hills in the background and the sky. Yeah. So we've come out this afternoon, and the light is really harsh again. It's clear blue skies and very strong contrasty light. So we've come to Kingley Vale. We're just walking to go up the hill to have a look what's up there, but we've stopped through the woods and we're standing with all these beautiful yew trees, and they're full of texture, full of colour, and full of patterns. It's quite stunning, to be honest. I can see why people talk about here quite a lot. So I'm not taking any wide angle shots. I'm not looking at doing any typical or so because the light's really harsh, I'm not going to do any big vistas or whole trees or anything like that, because the shadows and the light is just too contrasty, it's too strong. So what I'm going to do is focus down and almost macro look at the textures and the colours and the shapes on the trees, on the tree bark, focus in on those. These yew trees have got a fantastic mahogany colour beneath their bark, so when that catches the sun or when that's been scrubbed clean a little bit, it really stands out. It's really rich and vibrant. Some of them, as I look, there's almost the sap coming out as well of those parts of the tree that are more exposed, and that's creating a real strong texture in some of them as well. So I'm just going to hunt round and see and try and do a series of close-up, textured, abstract style shots. Okay, yeah, let me show you a couple. So let me take you through this composition here. So I'm set up, I've got my main subject roughly in view, shooting with my 100 to 400. I've come down to the level that I want to be at. Okay, so what I'll first do is I zoom in to get, well, I start zoomed out to get my main subject in focus into roughly where I want it to be. Then I start manipulating the angle of the camera to start fine-tuning in. So now that I'm there, I'm going to start zooming in to get the piece that I want. So I zoom in, I'm just going to mess with the focus, make sure I start getting the focus roughly there. And then just start to refine the composition. So I think that's a bit untidy. We've got this little blob here which I don't really like, bright spot there which I need to be aware of. Love this shape and these colours through here. And I love how this tree bends. So we've got this big bend here which I really like, but I don't want to get any of the background in there. So I want to make sure that's cropped out. So I'm just going to rotate round and see where we're at. So that's quite nice. Although this bottom right corner, again, we've got a bit of the background, so I want to remove that. I'm going to adjust the angle of the camera. I'm just adjusting this horizontal angle so we can get rid of that. Because we're doing abstract, we don't have to worry about being perfect with the horizon. So just refine this in. It's about as tight as I can go with the lens. So that's really nice. I really like this. Don't mind that little dot there at the top. It's got this white spot here which I don't like, but I'll probably soften that off in post. Got a lovely shape here, lovely textures and colours. So let's get our focus in. So I'm just going to zoom in. We're in the centre, I'm quite happy with that, so I'll zoom in even closer. And then we're just going to adjust our focus. See, we're getting a lot of wobble because we're on a wide angle, so just be very, very gentle. You'll see when the focus pops in because those whites just pop, even when it's moving. Hands off, let it still. Yeah, that's really nice. So let's zoom out. Half shutter button and we'll check our exposure. So we're shooting f16 because I want lots of depth of field. Although with the 100-400 we're going to compress the field of view, we're still going to get a little bit of fall off if we don't have enough depth of field to our focus. So f16 depth of field. Check our exposure again. So slightly above what the camera says. So I always like to shoot a little bit lower. Didn't mean to press the button, but I did. Give us a test shot. So we can look at our histogram. That's fine. That's all in the middle. Let's go back here. We'll check. It's going to come down one more tick. So 2.5 seconds. F16. Okay. So now cable release. Give it a minute just to settle. Off we go. There we go. So histogram looks good. So welcome back to the office. So we've got the image back from the field. This is quite some time later. We're now in March when I'm going through this. So let's go through some of the processing of this image. Let me take you to the image. Okay, so let's have a look. So here we go. So we've got, as we said in the field, we've got this bright spot here on the sort of mid-level on the right, and then we've got this sort of lighter area here that we need to deal with. I quite like this image. You can see the colours, you can see this sap leaking out, which I think is just amazing. I mean, nature is spectacular. So what we're going to do with this image to process, so the first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at the colours. So we do what we normally do, which is we're going to up the saturation, and then we're going to either end of the scale, and then we're going to come back till we feel happy with the colour. So that's too blue, it's a bit yellow, so we'll get it right. That looks about good, and then we'll do the same with the tint. As we come back, a bit green, that looks good. Bring the saturation down, it always looks dull, we'll come up a little bit. And then we will work in the HSL sliders later. So now let's work on these bits that make the image feel unbalanced. So this technique I've learned, I'm gonna swap the image upside down. So you see it completely abstract. I mean, it's an abstract image anyway. So I'm gonna go upside down, we're gonna see how to balance this. The first thing is definitely this spot here. Right, let's grab a radial. Let's just pull those whites back a little bit. A little bit of exposure. Soften the contrast. Let's pull the shadows up a little bit. better, but it's not great. Still got more work to do. So let's look at where else we've got. So we've definitely got this area here. So let's go for another radial. I'll tell you what actually we're going to do with this. We're going to clone this out with a bit of content aware. Let's see what it does. Okay, let's do a refresh. Another one. Okay, let's add another for that bit. Okay. And another one. Okay, there we go, that's better. So that's gone. So now what do we need to do with the image? Okay, let's go back to normal view. Start framing this image. Again, being an abstract, you can be quite abstract with your work as well, with your processing. It's an abstract image, therefore abstraction works. So what I've done to work on this bright spot here, which has been proved quite difficult to really control, is I've zoomed in, and one of the techniques I've used is I've gone through and I've just painted over with a brush the light streaks rather than the whole lot, and brought them down so it stops the whole thing going too grey, but it brings it down, which is fairly effective. It takes the whiteness out, and then overall you don't really see, it's not too imposing. The other option, the other thing that I've done actually is I've used a balance. So rather than trying to darken that right side, I've actually brought the left side up, which is that mask there, which I brought it up to similar sort of tonal values and lightness values, which should in theory balance the image one side against the other. So now all I'm doing is I'm using that mask I've just done for the lightning with a brush, and I'm going to go through and I'm just going to start painting in different areas, just to sort of create some modelings, create some depth to the image, so some contrast between the lights and the darks. I'm looking at it big on the main screen, but I'm using this little thumbnail on the top left a lot to see the balance, and at the moment I can see it's sort of quite dark in this top corner here, so I will work on that. I wonder if that's one of my, no, it's not too, I did do that earlier with the linear gradient dark in that corner, but it's not affecting, it's only affecting the very corner, not this area here. So there I am going to lighten that up a little bit with just some brush strokes like that. So my brush is at 50% or flow is at 50, so it's quite light, so try and be very undestructive. Just do it bit by bit, checking the mask where it is in case I've gone over somewhere. So for example, in this area we've got this little light spot here. I find that a little distracting, so I'm just going to hit my Alt key, which is going to give me a subtract brush, and then I can just undo that area as such. There we go. So yeah, I'm just going to work through the image and lighten some areas, and then I'll do the exact same, and I'll darken a few areas, effectively dodging and burning the image.